going to be going over the number one way that I have found that no one talks about of how to find what, and like just off the top of your head, how to know what sports card players to buy. So this could be for baseball, for football. I mainly use it for football, but basketball also. It's helped me in all three situations. No one talks about this at all. It's really just one of those things that I don't understand why more people don't. Like, this should be like one of the things that it's the easiest way to get into it, and I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this video probably has at least partaked in it at least one time. I'm talking fantasy or dynasty, or I should say it's gonna be fantasy sports, dynasty in particular. So what I like to do is, obviously I'm in a whole bunch of leagues. I host one myself. I'm gonna actually show some screenshots of my league right here that I host. It's like a 10-man league. It's like a whole bunch of custom. It's a super flex, and it has like 3 flex positions, a tight end, a defense, a kicker, and then on top of that it has 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs, as well as the super flex and the QB. So typically with that league, like over years, so what dynasty is dynasty fantasy sports is that the team always carries over. So you're gonna build your team. So let's say you have a draft and you're on the clock. Let's say it's a 10-man. So sometimes people will say Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in all of sports, right? So, and he's also young. He's 25, relatively. He's probably got, like, I would say 10 years of maximum production, probably more close to 6 to 8 years of maximum production, then taper off slowly as the years progress. But so this is just how this one rankings is. Obviously you can have your own. I have my own too. But Fantasy Pros is just like one of the first ones that pops up when you're looking at it. This is for football, obviously, but it's all based on hype, right? That's what the card market is, as well as fantasy football, and insert your sport there. But a lot of the times, especially in Superflex, like, look, if we click over to Superflex, it's going to kind of also account, because in the football card scene, QBs are the main thing. So when you're looking at all these prices, you really do want to make sure you're accounting for that. QBs are the key thing. So you have Josh Allen, number 1, Patrick Mahomes, 2, Jalen Hurts, 3, CJ Stroud, 4. This is just where they're projected and expected to end up after the season's done, at the end of the season, fantasy football season. These are the 4 top players to contribute to your team that you should have according to Fantasy Pros. But you can also just get into drafts and see where people are, putting people above people. Sometimes it's not the best thing to just solely base off, but it gives you a really great idea, especially Dynasty. I'll just give you an example. Romeo Dobbs. He was someone that I watched a lot of content. Like he's 148 now. I think he was last year. He was probably he was undrafted. He was down here with, like, let's just say there's Jonathan Mingo down here. Jonathan Mingo, A.J. Dillon. Sadly, A.J. Dillon's down here, but Tank Bigsby. I think those are 2 people potentially to look out for, but that's just because I'm hot on them in comparison. But I think fantasy sports, man, is just honestly one of the, obviously you don't want to fully, it's not all gonna be, and obviously do your own research and all that. It's not financial advice, but this helps out a lot. And especially when I'm going through it, right, I know off the top of my head that these players are usually the first 10 gone, especially in Dynasty fantasy drafts that are super flex. These 10 are pretty much interchangeable. Maybe the occasional Amon-Ra, maybe the occasional Bijan or Breece Hall will go, but typically there's not much deviation outside of the occasional, like Marvin Harrison might go into the top there. But it also, imagine all these rookies coming up, right? We have Caleb Williams, we have Jaden Daniels, we have Drake May, Bo Nix, right? How do you know which one off, if you do no research before and you don't, have that leg up on some, if you, I'm recording the video at 1 a.m., right? So this will post in 5 hours. But we have how long until football season? About a couple months, like 2 or 3, right? 3 until it's like the height of football starts to come up. But we still have another after that, I guess. So it's like 5 months until football products come out, right? So people are going to know, but all these, there's going to be the Chronicles draft picks and all that, right? Obviously, I don't recommend buying Chronicles draft picks, but if you're someone like me who needs, or, if you're looking for an extra source of income and, you're looking at the card thing, this is pretty much, it's easily accessible to everyone, right? You have, and then there's also, players like CMC and AJ Brown. Obviously, they're not young, they're not super hype-worthy, but, this is, these are proclaimed pros, right, of these of this fantasy football world. Obviously, if you're considering buying Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes, I just can't help you there, right? I would say Patrick Mahomes for sure, if you're talking hobby list, is number one, just because. But in terms of who should I buy as a QB, I'm not talking obviously Patrick Mahomes is the safer option QB, especially any of these guys. Probably the safest one as of now. But if you're talking, should I buy Patrick Mahomes over Jared Goff, right? Number 55. It doesn't make much sense. No, I mean, obviously it depends on the situation, right? You can get probably, let me just look it up exactly what a Jared Goff card, Prism, Rookie, Silver. I'm too fast for my own keyboard, good. Silver PSA 10, right? So yeah, there's also, certain things you would learn as you go. There's Patrick Mahomes rookie year, for example, or Myles Garrett. Their Prism cards are only silver, so the base card was a silver Prism. So it's $157. So, I mean, obviously, if you know your numbers and all that on what you can get or what you're trying to buy at and all that, it could be a good idea to buy a Jared Goff if you can. This is priced at $155. This probably, you can actually, if this is a tip, if anyone needs it and that doesn't know about it, 130 point is amazing, and you can just copy and paste. If you see an auction that this with the cross out, you can copy and paste and get an exact what it exact comped for pretty much a lot of the time. So 165 was last comp, 155 also. So there's also one before that for 210 May 1st. It was 210. Yeah, 210. Okay. So then you can get out your handy dandy calc. If anyone knows that meme. Let's just say 160, the last two comps, 165, 155. We'll just use this as an example. I know I have people that'll pay 80%, pretty much cash me out, especially on a card like that. So it's what? I'd have to at least buy it at. I would say it's a little tough. Now you have to pay up too, but usually before all of it, especially if you're lucky, I would try to buy everything at 70%. And that was really fair back when I was doing it too. So what? That's 112. That would be the price I would try to buy it for. Probably work your way up to 120. But now it's looking like you're gonna have to start listing on eBay and all of that to actually realize a lot better value. I mean, it just depends, right? If you bundle a whole bunch of things together, it makes a lot more sense to sell it to the repackers. But if you're just going off of, like, I could get offered 120, but if I sold it on eBay for 165, let's just say you get last comp, you get like, I think it's like around 84%. So that's already 140. So yeah, that 120 is probably minimum what I would like, or the maximum I would want to pay. 118 divided by 120 is pretty much 15%, which is pretty good. But all right, you also have to realize those. But also, you're not going to be finding a Patrick Mahomes Prism rookie like anywhere near that, right? I mean, let's just look up PSA 9. It might be, yeah, like, no, you're just not gonna find anywhere near that, right? PSA 9 for $950. Holy. Okay, I did not even know that was how far that. But then again, right? Jared Goff has there, but I think, I don't know. When you're talking just what to buy, right? Patrick Mahomes is king if you can get it at a price that makes sense, right? Realize your numbers. You're just gonna have to, realize that you do make about that. I think it's like 83%. Depends on how you do it, right? 83% is typically, if you realize, if you're able to sell it for, if you think you can get, let's just say you can get $35 out of it. 83% is pretty, sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's, pretty accurate, but even at, I would say you could do 80%, and that's a lot more accurate. So like, let's just say a $35 card, you think you can realize it's $28, right? Sorry, this is just going all over the place, but honestly, Dynasty and fantasy football is just the way to go. I have ADHD and just free rolling a video because I need to. But so yeah, know your numbers, right? Stick to your numbers. Know that you don't have to get every deal done, right? Even I kind of struggle with that sometimes. 130 points a great resource. It doesn't cost anything. Oh, and I was going to show, it doesn't really, I mean, I guess technically, where's Justin Jefferson? Top 7. So, Justin Jefferson cards, how many? 16,000 results have sold. Like someone wanted a out of 80 for $35. Seismic Red out of 199 for $10. Optic Raider Rookie out of 150, numbered out of 150. It's on card auto also. That sold for, it's probably, I would guess, 280 is what I would just off the top of my head guess. Off of just pure intuition. I just feel like 280 is probably where it sold. 290. Look at that. That's pretty close. But Justin Jefferson sells, right? Does that apply to this? Yeah, he's a wide receiver 1, right? It makes sense that he sells. Amon Rock, he's kind of a cheaper option. But also, when you look at it, right, Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of these players we're going to have access to in these next year products. Obviously, we have some products of his available. But let's look up. There's Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's look up card with it. $5. You know, a PSA 9 for 31. Like $6. 8 of them for 50. Like, he's already selling really well, and he sells often, right? How many have sold? I guess 526. I don't know how accurate that is, because there's a lot that didn't pop up, like, and none of these popped up when we looked it up. But, you know, give or take, because you have Cardinal stuff, or, you know, random things that aren't cards, like maybe, yeah, well, that would be a part of it. But yeah, you have like jerseys and all that, but he's selling, right? So the tip applies, right? And he has a ton of hype coming out of college. He has pretty much a decent majority of the targets coming his way, minus Trey McBride, right? But there's, like, obviously the tight end one is Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is super hyped up. Malik Neighbors, probably the wide receiver 2 for most people coming out of college this year. He would have been probably a wide receiver 1 if it wouldn't have been for Marvin Harrison. You have Puka Nacua, wide receiver 8. Christian McCaffrey sells. Let me just look up his rookie cards. He's the running back 4. Obviously, he's a little older, so he's not going to be the number 1 running back in Dynasty Fantasy Football. But, you know, obviously he's probably the number 1 running back that sells. If you take it into consideration, all of them, all running backs and all that, he's probably the number 1 running back that sells on a daily basis, right? But obviously, if you see 177, that's out of 10. I guess is that an actual rookie? That's cheap, I think. His prices are not the highest either. But at the same time, right? Obviously, those are comps, so people really like to go based off the comp, right? That out of 10 RPA would probably never sell again. Or, you know, it would take probably a good portion of time to sell again. So to try to realize expected gains on a card like this, out of 10, does say 2017. So if this is a rookie, doesn't have the rookie logo that I'm noticing, but like, this is pretty much the solidified comp. So unless if someone tries to list on eBay, they're going to get offered. Sometimes the repackers now sell for, or buy for 100+%, right? But it just, I've never ran into someone who's paid more than 100% of comps for repackers, right? I've sold plenty of stuff that was above the last comp, but that's me going out of my way, listing it on eBay, right? Trying to find that person that would be willing to pay over comp. But, you know, I guess there's even an out of 49 selling for $51. So, you know, there's certain things. I'm not too sure on Christian McCaffrey's market, but, like, obviously he sells, right? CMC, I guess that could be also in part, he sells really well in his 49ers jersey right now. So let me just look up, we can just look up 2023 Prism, right? So we pretty much all be in his 49ers jersey. I sold one of these actually for $40 value. I'm not too sure if this is the exact one. I didn't even realize, I don't think it was his number match. Surely could be. I don't think it was though, but I sold one of those. It's also, again, right, it's a player in his 49ers jersey 49ers fans would be looking for cards of his, so just out of intuition, right? You buy that, and it's amazing to me that card hasn't sold. If this one sold for $36, this might help it sell, right? At $40. Not too sure on the damage or anything, the seller or anything, but you know, when you see a blue ice, obviously it says refractor, but blue ice prism, and that's even a auction place. It's funny, or a consignment place. Sell for $4 less than the color match and number match. I mean, shoot. But yeah, when you're looking at this, I guess it is disco, right? I forgot about that. I did forget about that. But yeah, so like these stuff sell every day, multiple times a day. Is in his 49ers jersey. It's 1,800 results just from his prism. There's 5,500 just from 2023. So like when you're looking through, especially value bins and all that, try to find some. There's a Heroes selling for $6, but it holds true fairly often, right? And even if not, you know that these players are getting hyped up, so you can then expect them to, once people start drafting their fantasy football teams with their friends or wherever else they decide to draft it with, right? They see that Puka Nacua, right? Obviously, everyone knows Puka Nacua is the hottest wide receiver of last year. But let's just look at, like, I guess Jonathan Brooks. I see, like, Jonathan Brooks, right? When obviously Dynasty is a lot less advanced too, right? But I like Dynasty more in terms of like what helps me determine, because it has long-term value in there. I'm not a guy that, you know, I'm not a seller that likes to only focus on the year, right? I mean, obviously, I just like the long-term value for myself and my customers, right? Because, like, for example, let's just look at, let's look down here let's try to find someone I believe in long-term that's not so popular, not going in the first 100 picks, right? Oh, here's someone, but obviously he's a tight end, so it's not the best example. Try to find someone else. I'm going to say Ben Sinnott. I guess running back isn't the best position either. But at the same time, right? Let me look for Bryce Young. Let me just Control C it. Bryce Young. He's going number 70 overall in Dynasty. He's a QB 20. It's actually pretty fair. I guess technically, his non-super flex is a lot more disrespected, right? And this is Dynasty too, but let's look at, you can look at, probably just go draft. I don't know if draft is just, I don't understand what. Okay, let's just do overall. It might be, I don't know what draft means. I think it's just if you're doing, I think draft is the just regular draft, like you're just redrafting, which is, I don't know why they don't have it named as redraft, but anyways, so when you look at redraft and non-superflex, it takes a while for the QBs to go, which is why I personally like to look at superflex ones. But this is, I'm not too sure, I'm pretty sure the redraft one would be, or draft would be redraft, so standalone year league, so you could draft for 1 year and, you know, hope that team does well, and that's all you can do, right? But Superflex redraft would be the top 10. There's only Christian McCaffrey and CeeDee Lamb. And Justin Jefferson doesn't even make it into, or he does make it into the top 5, but he makes it into the top 15, barely on both of them. So when you're looking at these stats, right, people are going to think, okay, Justin Jefferson's a little fallen off, so maybe his market starts to taper off and all that too, right? So it goes both ways, right? Because CeeDee Lamb is now in redraft, fantasy football, super flex. He's the number 1 wide receiver taken typically, right? This is average. Obviously, you could have someone grab Tyreek Hill. You could have someone grab that Justin Jefferson. You could have someone grab Jamar Chase, the wide receiver 1. But typically, this is how the draft falls. I guess this is the only rankings, but you can go off of a whole bunch of different things, right? And there's Devontae Adams, right? One of the best receivers of our time, probably first Hall of Famer, top 28. Ranked for redraft, super flex. It just, these, like, when you start to look at these things, right, there's a lot you can learn on projected, like, how people are going to do this season. Like, if I'm not one to hold stuff, I mean, like, I stash things away that I happen to buy, and I don't think I'd get the money I could get later on. But I'm not one to buy things with the intention of investing in them. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand the whole investing thing anymore. Like, if you want to invest, open up a Roth IRA. You know what I mean? But that's where I'm going to end it. I highly suggest looking and starting to use these fantasy football and other sports to learn. Like, there's even NHL. You want to get into hockey? Well, here you go. Here's probably some of the best players easily accessible. Right? I mean, obviously, you got to do more research than just going off of that. But, man, once you, like, it's the basic principles, right? Once you learn the basic principles, what you do with that can be the world of a difference. You start learning, especially once you get it, if you ever get a team like this, like that you build yourself on Dynasty fantasy, like of this caliber that I showed earlier. But man, can you know that you can go far with your own predictions and all that, and you can just absolutely do wonders. But I appreciate you very much for watching, and I hope that this helped at least one person. I'm hoping it helped 100 people. I'm hoping it helped 1,000 people. But appreciate you guys very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.